But she'll be 6 years old. She'll be 6 years old. Unless you have to push her.
Parantuna, basic numbers.
Hare Krishna, Padakamalang Sri Gurun Vaishnavansha Sri Rupam Chakrajatam Raghunathantam Tvam Sajivam Advaita Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurabhaktam Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurabhakta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
spiritual. Is everything okay? Oh, that message I wanted to write.
Right, okay. We've spread up to here so we can get to the ballot.
Is someone somebody in Haveli today?
I can't see the what do you call it? Dustbin. I can't see the dustbin and brush.
There is some here, so I sprayed it.
Oh.
Right there. There is more.
Itu berdua.
Can I spray now?
You can spray.
Something came out of it.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay, good. We'll listen again.
Have you done? Where should I start from?
No, I've done it already.
Up to
I've
that?
done it up to here.
Up to the flower, yeah?
Yes. Right here is a little water.
Yeah.
I can see. Can I just use the map and get it because there's water there? That's what it came upon. Wait, I can continue. I can continue.
Okay.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Good afternoon. That's it, yeah, Prabhu?
Huh? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're just running off too quickly, aren't we? We're running off too quickly.
Jayarata Madhava Kancha Bihari Jayarata Madhava Kancha Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayarata Madhava Kancha Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, today we're reading from Bhagavad-Gita. I hope there's some listeners online. There's no one here in the temple room so far. Anyway, so we're reading Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6, text 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll start with the Sanskrit. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkeshu tatamana pamanayaho. Word for word. Jita Atma, of one who has conquered his mind. Prashantasya, who has attained tranquility by such control over the mind. Paramatma, the soul. Samahitaha, approached completely. Shita, in cold. Ushna, heat. Sukha, happiness. Dukkeshu, and distress. Tata, also. Mana, in honor. Apamanayaho, and dishonor. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. One who has conquered the mind, the soul. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Purport. Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by a superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramatma or Supersoul. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyatyate Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I will just get my notes. So this chapter is chapter 6, called Dhyana Yoga. So this is where the Ashtanga Yoga system is outlined, and we're still at the beginning of the chapter. So far in the chapter we've learned that to become Krishna conscious, we need to renounce our desire for sense gratification, and that's how we come to Krishna. So ideally we should not be engaging in the sense gratification or in fruitive activities. And in the past few verses, we've learned that we can use the mind to help us actually in our endeavors. And in yesterday's verse, we learned that the mind can be the best of friends if we've conquered it. So if we've overcome its problematic nature, then it can be our best of friends. But until we do that, it will be our enemy. So if we haven't conquered it, then the mind is our enemy. And our verse today is saying that when we have overcome the dictations of the mind, it goes even further. Not just that the mind is the best of friends, that we become peaceful, and actually it means that we've reached the goal. So I was thinking about this already reached, and I was a bit confused. I was thinking, because it's saying the super soul is already reached once we have conquered the mind. So I was wondering which way round is it? So we've reached the goal and then we get control of the mind, or we control the mind and that leads us to our goal of being in touch with Krishna. And I was discussing it with some ladies from the ashram, and I had a kind of a moment when I realized it's actually the process of controlling the mind. That's our process, is to focus on Krishna. Actually, that's our way of controlling the mind, is focusing on Krishna. And in that sense, we are at the goal when we are controlling the mind. So it's simultaneous. And I was thinking about conquer, this word conquer, what does it actually mean? We associate conquer with a battle. And at least, I associate that with, in the English language, we kind of only really use conquer in terms of when someone's been victorious in a battle, they've conquered the enemy. And in this case, the enemy is the mind. When we haven't conquered it, it's the enemy, at least. So why is it the best of friends when we've conquered it? This is because it can help us to reach the goal, and we become peaceful, and then it can help us to practice our devotional service and chant, etc., very peacefully, and then we can use it to attain our goals. But when is it an enemy? That's when we have to battle with it, when we become controlled by the mind. So we're trying to control the mind, but until we've controlled it, it's controlling us. So Arjuna had obviously a bigger battle, but our biggest battle is usually with the mind. And so we have two types of people, Goswami and Godas. A Goswami is someone who is in control of the mind, and that means, to be in control of the mind means to be Krishna conscious all of the time. Doesn't matter what situation the person is in, they're just always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. They're always Krishna conscious. That is a Goswami. No matter what is going on around them, they are Krishna conscious. And in Vedic psychology, there's different levels. There's thinking, feeling, willing, and acting. And when we are in control, then all of these will be directed towards Krishna. Our thoughts, our feelings will even have Krishna conscious feelings, our willing, what we want, what we're aspiring for, and our acting, obviously, our actions will be completely Krishna conscious when we've properly got control of the mind. And in contrast, this is contrasted to Godas. This is someone who's still under the control of the mind, so they haven't gained control of the mind. And it takes a lot of endeavor to make the mind peaceful, to gain control. If there was an audience here, I was going to ask what are some of the qualities of the mind that Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita. But seeing as no one's here, I will just say a few that I noted down. So later on in this chapter, text 33, Krishna says that the mind is restless and unsteady. So it's restless. We think when we're chanting our japa, the mind is just going here, there, everywhere. It can't stay focused on one thing. It always wants to jump from one thing to the next. And it's very difficult to stop it from doing that. The monkey mind, we call it. Unsteady as well, very similar. We can't keep it on one level. And then in the verse after this one, verse 34, Arjuna says that the mind is even harder to control than the wind. This is when he's explaining to Krishna that this process is so difficult, how am I going to be able to do it? The mind is even harder to control than the wind. He says that it's chanchalam, flickering, it's agitating, it's strong and obstinate. So these are some of the challenges that we have when we're endeavoring to gain control over our mind. So we have to be really meticulous, actually, because of the strength of the mind and its all of these qualities which make it very difficult to overcome. We have to be very strong. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport to this verse that we're discussing today, when we are misled by the external energy, we become entangled in material activities. And so we always have a choice, to follow the dictations of the mind, and that will often lead us to being, like he says here, misled by the external energy, if we're finding that attractive, more attractive than the spiritual energy. And in 260, in chapter 2, Krishna says that the senses are so strong and impetuous that they forcibly carry away the mind of even a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. So again, this is just emphasizing how difficult it is to bring the mind under control. It's like a wild horse. Many people use that example. We're trying to train a wild horse when we're trying to train the mind. And Maya is in like a needle and out like a plough. So I mentioned before about in this verse that Prabhupada is saying that we need to try and not be misled by the external energy, which happens when the mind is not under control. But yeah, Maya is in like a needle and out like a plough, so just one thought can lead to disaster. And I was thinking of an example of Bharat Maharaj. So he just saw a deer. He was taking his morning bath in the river, and he just saw a deer drowning, and out of his compassion, he just had natural compassion for this deer. He wanted to save it, which is actually a good thing, but just this one action led to his fall down, because he became completely overly materially affectionate towards this deer, and his whole life revolved around the deer. So something, the original action, which appeared to be good, I mean it was good, quickly led to fall down. So we have to be very meticulous. And another analogy I was thinking of is like a fire. Often it starts with in a very small place. It's a mundane example, but like the fire of London, this happened several centuries ago, and it just happened by they think just one moment of inattention. I think it was some baker or something, just a spark from the oven and dropped on some fuel, and then this destroyed like a third of the city or something like that. So it's just one moment of inattention can lead to a disaster. So we have to be really vigilant with our thoughts and not letting them fester or develop into some misconstrued beliefs. Just one little thought can, if we don't address it, can play on us, and we keep thinking, and then we start to believe all kinds of crazy things. So if we give the mind an inch, it will run a mile. And if we're able to control it on the mental platform, then we don't have to deal with a disaster on the growth platform. So if we're able to be observant of our thoughts and not let them get out of control, then it won't come out in our growth actions. So actually, how do we keep the mind peaceful? What practical things do we need to do? And Krishna says in chapter 3 that the senses are the lowest, the grossest sense, and above that is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence. So to be able to control the mind, we need to strengthen our intelligence. So reading Shastra, studying, all of these kinds of things will help us to strengthen our intelligence. And in that way, we'll be able to get more control over our mind. And I was listening to a class by Sankarshan Dasadikari Prabhu on this verse, and he was saying how we need to become our own psychoanalyst. So we need to be able to take a step back from what our mind is telling us and be observant of our own thoughts. And then we can realize actually where these thoughts are coming from, and are they actually helpful to our spiritual life? Are they helping me to come to the goal of being Krishna conscious? And he also said how avoiding the 10 offenses is so important in being able to perfectly control the mind. If we're not committing these 10 offenses, then during our japa, then our whole day will be kind of more controlled. Less offensive. And I realized that most of what I've said so far is kind of, I've been saying it in a very militant way, and it sounds like it's a mechanical process, but it's so important that we remember that this is not a mechanical process. The dangers of this, again, I was going to ask the audience, there's no one here, so what's the danger of seeing this process as something mechanical? we become very cold and we can become a pretender even. So Krishna says in chapter 3, Kamendriyani samyamya yaste manasasmaran indriyatan vimutatma miticharas uchite. So if somebody is dwelling on the sense objects but they're restricting themselves, but their mind is still there on the sense objects, and they delude themselves, and they are called a pretender. So if we're just taking to this process in a very militant fashion, and I just need to control my mind, and it becomes very impersonal, and we lose sight of the goal, actually, our goal of Krishna, and focusing our minds on Krishna. If we're just taking to the process in that sense of just trying to be as controlled as we can. And Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said that if we're chanting in such a mechanical way, where we're just trying to control the mind in an impersonal sense, and we're not actually hearing the holy name and how Krishna, the person Krishna, is in the holy name, then it's like we're firing blank bullets. So what is the point of firing blank bullets? It's a waste of time, at least for someone that's was doing that. And we end up thinking of nothing, which isn't our goal. So impersonalists think that to control is to cease all thoughts. I remember I was, for some time before I came to Krishna consciousness, I was kind of dabbling in impersonal meditation, and they would say, if you don't think for 11 seconds, I don't know where they got 11 seconds from, but if you cease all your thoughts for 11 seconds, then you've reached samadhi, and that's the goal. And I used to think, oh wow, that sounds amazing, because it was making me more peaceful. It took away from my suffering, all the sufferings from the mind. But we know actually there's a higher goal, and that is to focus on Krishna and be completely fixed in that thought, not to cease all thoughts, but to be fixed in our thoughts on Krishna. And also the problem of ceasing all our thoughts is that it says again in chapter 3 that we can't refrain from doing something for even a moment. So we have to be doing something. We have to be active. That's our nature, to be active. So to try and cease all our thoughts, to try and stop doing anything, is actually impossible for us. It's against our nature. And Srila Prabhupada has given us such a good structure for being able to control the mind in the right way and focus it on Krishna. The morning program, for example, we have 4 hours where we're fixing the mind on Krishna. So we go to Mangala Arati, we're focusing the mind on the Guru, we're in front of the deities, and then afterwards we have japa, we're chanting the holy names, deity greetings again, we're praying to Krishna, we're seeing his form, and then Guru Puja again, focus on the Guru. And then we have class, we read Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is what Prabhupada has given us, to be able to control the mind in bhakti, not to cease all of our thoughts like the impersonalists, but to concentrate our mind in the right way. So yes, so this is the best solution, is to get a higher taste. To be able to control the mind, we need to get a higher taste. And the mind will automatically be controlled when we have that higher taste. I was going to read a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't know it by heart. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkana rasayana katha tajjoshanat ashva bhavagavatmani shadarati bhakti anukramishyati. The translation is, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. then real devotion and devotional service begin. So again, this is explaining how our attraction can become fixed on Krishna, and so it's saying actually in this verse that by association this is done. So we need to take advantage of the association of the devotees discussing Shastra and Kirtan together, and in this sense we are able to develop this higher taste that we need to be able to control the mind and fix it on Krishna. And in this way, in the verse, it's telling us that once we have got this higher taste, we've overcome the problems of the mind, then naturally we become indifferent to these dualities of happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor. They appear to all be equal, they're all the same. Prabhupada says in the purport that we need to keep the mind fixed on a superior nature, and then we will follow the dictation of the supersoul. Yeah, so I've been discussing how we need to have a higher taste, and then we'll be able to hear the supersoul within our heart naturally. The closer that we are to